to all. Good morning. One of the short stories I tell MBA students at MIT is I'm going to do in honor here of Barbara and tell you a true story of a Lufthansa flight from Rio de Janeiro to Frankfurt some years ago. And the flight took off normally, went a few hours into the Atlantic Ocean. And at a certain point in time, people started hearing noise on the right-hand side of the aircraft in the turbines. And the captain came on and said, I know you're hearing noise, but please don't worry about this. Lufthansa has procedures for this, and we know how to handle this. Do not be concerned. And then half an hour later, they started hearing noises on the left turbine, came back and said the same thing. And eventually the noises increased to a point where the captain said, look, we are going to have to do a forced landing on the ocean, but Lufthansa knows how to deal with this, so please do not worry. And in fact, the plane came down on the ocean very well. Everything worked perfectly. And he thanked everyone. And he said, please, now we need to organize how people will descend. So please, all of the people who know how to swim go to the right-hand side, the ones who don't to the left, and everyone organized themselves. And he said, no, everyone who knows how to swim on the right side, please exit from the right side of the aircraft, which everyone did. And then after that, he came back and said, the people on the left side who don't know how to swim, thank you for choosing Lufthansa. and this, in essence, I think is what happened. It was happening to the school system as a whole. Is what's happening to education when we stop to think about it. The amount of change and the relevance of what is being done, I think, needs to be questioned. Our experience in business is only superficially relevant, but the fact is that we started asking questions 25 years ago in a small company of 100 people, and basically what we did in the very beginning was to ask why 3 times in a row. Anybody who has a small child like we do knows that when the first question they ask of why, you have a very good answer for, and then they say why that, and it starts getting complicated, and by the third why you have only one alternative, which is to buy them an ice cream. And here in our school system as well, when we stop asking people why exactly are we doing things the way we are, we're going to run into trouble if we ask ourselves 3 times in a row. We started doing that with business, and we started saying, why do we want everyone to show up at the same time? People have all kinds of biological internal clocks. Why the heck are we saying everyone has to be here at 8 o'clock? We were asking ourselves, why do people have to come to a corporate headquarters when they could go to a place near their house and just deal with whatever they need to do without having to drag them through hours of traffic per day? And as we started doing this, the business went a completely different way. We said things like, we want to think about the future, brainstorm about it as much as possible, but please don't write anything down, because the moment you write it down, we have to follow your plan. And if we have to follow your plan, our ability to change this plan entirely is compromised. And so we said, let's do a 6-month rolling budget and nothing else. And so we'll plan for 6 months, and every 6 months we'll start again. And let's start from scratch every 6 months. And we spent 26 years on the basis of 6 months. Today the company has about 5,000 people. It has ethanol projects of $2.5 billion. It has all kinds of things that came out of this in all of this time. And we started telling people, look, we don't want to know if you worked hard or not, how many hours you put in, how you dressed. All of these, and that's the connection with school, all of these are boarding school issues. Why you should come, why does someone make more than I do? Why does my title not say this? And businesses are full of boarding school issues still. And so we said, we don't want to deal with that. And to a certain point, we got at a certain moment where we said, you know, why do we need an organization chart at all? And we started incenting people to say, look, write on your business card whatever it takes for you to do your job. And if a client only wants to talk to a director and you're a trainee, try writing director and see if they'll buy and sell from you. If they don't, it's not a title problem. But go to whoever you respect in the organization. Don't follow the little boxes. And as we went through this process, at a certain point in time, people said, you know, why at all are you setting our salaries? Can't we set our own salaries? And a process went through, and we look at it. There are only a couple of things that you can think about that affect a salary. One of them is What are other people making inside the company? What are people making somewhere else? What can we afford? These are basically the three issues that affect salary. But there are two things that people know, the employees, that we don't, which is where would they like to be now? What would they like to be doing at this point in their lives? And how much are their spouse or their colleagues or their neighbors making? These are important issues that determine whether the person wants to stay and is happy with salary, and we know nothing about it. So either we find out, and we put psychiatrists to find out everything about the people, or we give them the other three, which we did, and we said, look, here's what everyone makes in the company. Here's what everyone makes in this industry. Here's what we make in money. Tell us how much you have to make. And don't make a big mistake, because every 6 months, the people who put together a budget will list the people they think they need for the next 6 months. And you want to be on that list? Make sure you understand how they're thinking. And so this process went on, and the short story of this is that 25 years later, the company moved in directions we knew nothing about. We are in businesses today that we never imagined we would have been 2 years ago. But the business is reinventing itself constantly because we've taken away the boarding school mentality. We've taken away the restrictions, and we've said, don't tell us how you're doing things when you're doing things, and simply find something to do here that has to do with either a passion of yours or that makes you want to get up on Monday morning, which is the single most difficult thing for organizations to achieve. As we got into this, we slowly started asking questions of how are these people coming to the company and therefore to the job market from schools? There are people who come and in the first 6 months, a year, are terrified of what they see there. Because we say, I don't know if you have a desk, find a desk, if you have a phone. It's totally beside the point for us. And people would say, now wait a second, you have to tell me. Where am I going to be? What should I do? How does my career move? And we said, we don't have anything to tell you at all. Our human resource department for 5,000 people had 2 people in it. And one of them now retired. So the fact is that we would say, you've got to find that solution. And people, we realized, came to us from a schooling system where they'd learned submission very early on. And they'd learned to sit in a 52-minute class, which was decided basically by the University of Chicago a long time ago, which was the attention span of children in 1905. And that is how all the classrooms are still based. And that attention span is not by any means similar to what it was. Their study of exactly the same linear thing says that today the attention span is 8 minutes. Now, if you put it in front of a video game and he wants to move from phase 2 to phase 3, he will spend 9 hours in front of that thing and with full attention. So there's something happening there which is not 52 minutes anymore. And so we looked at it and we said, there's something wrong with these people coming to us in this fashion. And then after a good midlife crisis, we said, let's go do something else because now we've made a lot of money. And let's start thinking, how did these people come here and how do we affect it and at what age? And our answer was 2. 2 is a good place to start. So we started working with 2-year-olds. And we said, if we don't fix this with 2-year-olds onward, they will come to the job market ready to follow orders or to follow a career, etc., all of which doesn't exist anymore and is going to exist every time less as we go forward.